You're watching the award-winning GHS-TV, a nationally recognized student television station.
Welcome to Inspiring Leaders. I'm Donna Chandler Newman, your host, and thank you for watching our program. Through this show, we meet community leaders and we examine how they're using their unique talents and their skill sets to make a difference. And through our discussions, we hope to inspire others to discover and to share their own leadership abilities for the overall betterment of our community. Now, today on our show, we're going to rock the houses. Now, what houses, you might ask? Well, we're rocking the FedEx Family House and the Ronald McDonald House, all right alongside their gracious sponsor, the FedEx Pilots Wives Association, FEPWA for short. Listen to learn about the great work FEPWA does for the benefit of the Le Bonheur kids and the St. Jude kids at their respective houses. Now, in our first segment of our show, we'll meet Amber Abney, president of the FedEx Wives Association, along with Sandra Lewis, Le Bonheur Hospital's relationship manager for the FedEx Family House. And in our second segment, Amber and I will be joined by Malayna McGhee, Director of Stewardship Advancement for the Ronald McDonald House Charities. Joining us now is Amber Abney, president of the FedEx Pilots Wives Association, FEPWA, and Sandra Lewis, Le Bonheur Hospital's relationship manager for the FedEx Family House. Welcome, ladies.
Hi.
I'm so glad to have you both here today. Now, I must say, Amber and I are longtime friends, and
Yes.
I'm so glad to welcome you back to our show.
Thank you.
And Sandra, it's our first time to talk together officially,
Yeah.
and I'm glad to meet you.
Thank you. So
You
happy
got-
to be here.
Well, good. You guys have some exciting things going on. We're going to start with Amber. Amber, you are the president now of the FedEx Pilots Wives Association. I know you've been with them for a while. Tell me a little bit about who that organization is. Obviously, you have to be married to a pilot,
Right.
but who that organization is and what you do and why they're important.
Okay. We were started in 1975 by Mr. Smith himself when he asked us to help with the Shriners Hospital for some donations. And then in 1987, we decided to adopt Ronald McDonald House as our total charity that we focus completely on. In 1991, I think, is when the house was actually opened. And so we've been supporting them ever since. And then in 2009, when the FedEx Family House decided to erupt, we knew that it was a perfect fit for us. And so we are a unique group of women, 403 strong.
Wow.
We are across 34 different states and 4 countries. And it's fantastic, but we share a unique lifestyle because of our husbands' jobs. And but it's open to everybody. You can be a retired pilot. You can have a deceased pilot. We welcome them all, including our FedEx female pilots as well.
Well, that's wonderful. And you guys do enormous work in the community, do you not?
We do. We do a lot of social events because we understand the time restrictions of our lives. But the biggest portion of us is for our charity. And so we raise money all year long to support these 2 houses.
That's perfect. It really is. We're going to talk about Rock the Houses in just a minute.
Okay.
But let's talk first about Le Bonheur's FedEx Family House. And it's actually, I should be clear about this. You're an employee of Le Bonheur, but your sole job, you're the big gal as the relationship manager for the FedEx Family House, right?
Right. I have the honor to be like the manager or the professional who manages all the development. I work with our volunteer services team and make sure that we're raising the funds to keep this house free to all of our families who have to come to Memphis for treatment for their children.
You know, I'm kind of confused as there are 2 different houses we're talking about today, but you do kind of different things. Can you tell me what the FedEx Family House does and what makes it different?
Well, sure. Our families and patients and their siblings are the patients are actually being treated at Le Bonheur. You know, Le Bonheur is a world-renowned hospital, but we're also a regional hospital as well, of course. But Since our many of our specialties and treatments, like our neurosurgical center, our Heart Institute, and many others, have gained so much recognition throughout the over time, starting in the 2008, 2009, we saw those, especially those two areas, were growing. We knew that we needed housing for families who were coming in from out of town. They started coming in from everywhere. A big part of that is we attracted the best physicians in those categories. Often those patients will follow the physicians. For many, many years, we've also have a relationship with St. Jude, of course, that we manage the surgeries for their major brain tumor program. So, which is a wonderful program. It's an awesome collaboration between the two hospitals.
I was confused at first because I guess my first impression is Le Bonheur's down the street. If my kid was in Le Bonheur, wouldn't I just go home? But there are, with the specialties you're talking about, they are that unique, aren't they?
Yeah, our requirement, they are, and our requirement is that you live more than 50 miles away. The philosophy is that, being at bedside is the most important thing for our children and for them to recover quickly. And we had one of our leadership volunteers, her name is Susan Graff. She's married to Alan Graff, CFO of FedEx Corporation. She was volunteering as part of Le Bonheur Club, which is the founders of the hospital, actually. Le Bonheur Club was. Well, Susan was volunteering and saw that families were, really didn't have a lot of places to stay. And she was very sensitive to it because she has her own personal story. She had a brother who went through neurosurgery when he was very young, and she experienced it firsthand, what it's like for a family to be separated from the patient, and the trials, the financial challenges. And she really, pleaded not only with her own husband, but also Mr. Smith, Fred and Diane Smith. The two couples decided, yes, let's build a home for the Le Bonheur families. And they came together with their own personal funds, and in 2010 we opened the doors to the first family, and it was around Christmas. And guess what? The FedEx wives decorated the house, and they have ever since for Christmas. So our family has got to come into an amazing, beautifully decorated home, and they've been doing it forever, and it keeps getting better every year. It's amazing.
That's wonderful.
It's like 17 trees and 75 wreaths. I mean, it is pretty amazing. So
They
it's
also
special.
decorate for Halloween, don't they?
They do that at Ronald McDonald House, and it's
Oh.
fabulous. So we they get
okay.
Halloween and we get Christmas. So
Oh,
yeah,
okay,
it's pretty
gotcha.
special. So
Gotcha,
Halloween
gotcha.
is just as important to children as Christmas.
It
often,
is.
as
It
you know.
is.
So
I mean, for me,
I think that's very
it's-
wise.
Yeah, for me, it's just hand out a few things of candy since my child is grown.
I know, right?
But but I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah,
so,
it's like another Christmas. you
yeah,
know?
and there's only so many ladies, no matter what, and some of them live in other countries, right?
Correct.
Well, talk about that a few minutes. When you're doing the Rock the House, okay, Rock the House helps benefit both of the organizations.
Correct.
But I've got to ask, and I don't know which one I'm asking, but for me, the second I saw FedEx on it, I thought, well, gosh, I guess FedEx just writes them a check and that's the end of it, because certainly, Fred can dole it out or whatever, but bless his heart, and he supports so many organizations. I don't mean that in a trite way at all. But that's not how you're funded exactly. How are you funded?
FedExFamily House, we're named for FedEx because, one, that was Susan's wishes, and also Mr. Smith, when they came together as two couples with their personal funds, and they worked with, at the time, Mike Glenn, who was marketing leadership at the corporation, and they all agreed, let's name it. And so that meant the corporation would put in funds that about $2 million when we first opened, and then we apply for a grant every 3 years that helps with the operating budget, about 25% of our operating budget. The rest is all fundraising. So we are 100% fundraising based. So, which is, in part, FEPWA's event, Rock the Houses. They doubled over last year, and it's a major contribution for us. And we're, very, very grateful and super excited about this year. Because our events are, this event, they know how to throw a party. I mean, they just do. Their leadership, especially Amber's leadership, and I'll brag about you a little bit because, and I think the Ronald McDonald House team, Malayna and Jill, would agree that you see a big change this year. And they have been so wonderful over the years. Linda Hills, their previous president, was so nurturing and really did so many wonderful things for us. It's just a whole new perspective this year, and they changed some things last year with this event, and they doubled their fundraising.
That's absolutely amazing.
Yeah, and they're going to maintain that, and I congratulate you on you're getting other leaders to be part of this within your organization, and I think some things are emerging that, that you didn't know about before.
Yeah.
So it's exciting. Yeah, it's exciting.
Well, I've worked with Amber on several boards. I'm trying to get her on another, but she is a spark, and
You're right. That's a
because
great
of
way to put
that,
it.
I know that Rock the Houses is going to be absolutely sparkling. So tell us about Rock the House.
Well, it's March
Sis.
7th, and it's going to be at the Carousel Pavilion at the Children's Museum in Memphis. So we decided to step it up, and we want everyone to come, not just our members. I have reached out to multitudes of friends that have no association with FedEx at all, and they ask me, why come, Amber? And I'm like, because one, I want you to, and because these two organizations mean so much to me. I am lucky enough to have 2 healthy kids at home.
Yeah.
And I don't take that for granted. And it helps me to constantly put my life into perspective when we volunteer at both of these houses. And it does for all of the women of the organization. So we have, a wine pool this year, which we've had in the past. We have a restaurant row. So everyone that donates that owns a restaurant, we take 10% off of the face value, and people just pick and choose, and it's an instant buy. I bought $300 worth last year. But I mean, I buy at these places anyway, and so why not give the money to the houses? We have a live auction, we have a silent auction, and we have a dessert auction, which we started last year, which was a fabulous way to introduce our live auction. And we had 17 tables, we had 16 desserts. So we did not feed you dessert. You had to buy your dessert. And we raised over $3,000 alone in the dessert auction.
That is one novel
It was
idea.
just definitely different, and we're trying to constantly come up with things that are different. We do have some sponsors thus far. We have our platinum sponsor, Legacy Wealth Management. We have another sponsor, Patriot Bank, which is going to be our photo booth sponsor, but there are still other sponsorships available.
And there are tickets available.
There are
if I
tickets
wanted
available.
to buy a ticket, where would I get it?
RockTheHousesMemphis.com.
Rock the Houses.
And if somebody wants to donate an item, they can do that as well. They just go online, fill it out. If they're here local and they need us to pick it up, we'll come get it.
And the other cool thing is you also, if you're not in town and you have your people international, they're able to bid online. Is that right?
That's a new feature that we have this year, is the ability to do mobile bidding. So we're going to open it up to anybody and everybody who wants to bid, from South Louisiana to Alaska to Hong Kong. You just got to be up.
We've been doing that at
Be awake.
Gotta
GHS-TV
be
for a
awake.
while, and it's really amazing how many bids that you get, even internationally.
Right.
So
Right.
that's way cool, and I'm glad to see you guys doing that. That's
Yes.
amazing. It also brings people to be involved who wouldn't otherwise have an opportunity.
And we have a lot of conflict with our members, especially if pilots have to fly out of town and they can't be there, and their wives like, I'm not going to go without my husband.
Yeah.
They could still bid from home. And now, as of August of this year, we are now an official 501c3, which I have been working the last year as president. That was kind of my focus. So this year I just kind of get to have fun. And so now everything that's donated is tax deductible.
Oh my gosh, I didn't realize that you weren't before.
Right.
That is an amazing change, and that enables a lot of people to give even
And
more
we
generously.
raised $54,000 last year without being tax deductible. So I'm hoping to double it this year.
Oh wow, that's quite the goal, isn't it?
Why not? We
love hearing that.
We
That's
gave them each $22,000 last year. I'd really like to give them each 50.
Oh, that's wonderful.
So-
That's absolutely wonderful.
And we would all love that.
I know, right?
Well, I do have one more question for you too, Sandra. I know that the treasure means an awful lot to you. Tell me about volunteers. You also can use volunteers, correct?
Well, at this event, Amber will manage all their
Hers, yeah.
volunteers and the team. At FedEx Family House in general, absolutely. We volunteers are the heart to our home, and it's very similar at Ronald McDonald House. We're both serving families who are going through pretty astronomically tough times, and we want to be able to do whatever we can to give them that comfort, the downtime when they need it, and fun things when they want it. And that's dinners, coming and providing a dinner. Baking cookies is awesome, and you can bring slice and bake if you want to, or bring your favorite recipe.
That's
Volunteers,
wonderful.
they do need to be at least 16 years old to engage, but we do have ideas for school-age children to help us as well.
So you can volunteer your time, you can volunteer your treasure at rockthehousesmemphis.com.
Correct.
Right?
Yes.
Buy your tickets. Thank you so much for being with us, Sandra, and the great work you do.
It's an honor. Thank you very much,
Amber,
Debbie.
you'll stay?
I will.
Thank you. We're going to pause now for a short break, and when we return, Amber and I will be joined by Malayna McGhee, Director of Stewardship Advancement for the Ronald McDonald House Charities.
We see the potential in every single student.
That sounds like a confession to me.
I love watching these kids as they start as freshmen in high school and watching them mature and grow.
At last, my right arm is complete again!
The theater program at GHS, it's something special.
Is very intensive, it's very interactive.
When a student starts here their freshman year, they start with Introduction to Theater. And after that year, they have a choice to either go into acting or technical theater. And then after that, they join our production workshop class. It's the class that is completely run by students.
The students do mostly everything. We build the sets, we do lighting, we make the costumes, we do the shows.
It's very fun. I mean, everybody's very supportive of each other.
Now we're all in this together.
It's taught me so much about how to act and how to have a stage presence.
Not only are we teaching the students the skills that they need to be a great performer or a great stage manager or a wonderful lighting designer, we're teaching them skills that they're going to be able to apply to whatever they do in their life.
You guys are fabulous!
This department not only makes wonderful theater, but more importantly, this department makes wonderful people.
For more information about the Kappa program, visit ghskappa.com or call 755-7775. You're watching the award-winning GHS-TV, a nationally recognized student television station.
Welcome back. We're pleased to continue talking with Amber Abney, President of FedEx Pilots Wives Association, FEPWA, and to be joined by Malayna McGhee, Director of Stewardship Advancement for the Ronald McDonald House Charities. Ladies, thank you for staying, Amber, and welcome, Malayna.
Thank you for having me.
I'm so happy to meet you and to have you on our show. Everybody in the world, of course, has heard about Ronald McDonald Houses and what they do. So it's not a Memphis thing, right?
It's not a specific Memphis thing. Ronald McDonald House Charities is actually a global organization, and they partner with pediatric hospitals or pediatric portions of hospitals in order to serve sick children and their families. Ronald McDonald House of Memphis is a little unique, though, from the other Ronald McDonald Houses in that we have one partner, which is St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. And most families in other houses, their child is at the hospital and they're staying overnight to be treated. With Memphis, our house, our families are predominantly going through cancer treatment, which is an outpatient treatment. And so that means that the entire family, both parents, siblings, and the patient, are coming home to Ronald McDonald House each night.
Well, that's most interesting. It really is. So the families all have a chance to gather together and know each other, correct?
Yeah. With our home, we have 53 rooms, 51 standard rooms, 2 apartments, and we have community-style living. Our families share kitchen spaces, dining rooms, living rooms, and game rooms as well, which one is a special FedEx Pilots Wives game room. And so they are kind of forced to come out of their rooms and engage and befriend each other, which sometimes when you're going through a really difficult time, that is not the most comfortable thing or easy thing to do. And what we find is that that's actually what we need, especially for these families who have a child who's battling a catastrophic illness, and these parents need the other parents who are going through this to help them through this. The children need one another as well. And so they kind of create their own one big family under the Ronald McDonald House roof.
That's really amazing. That's an amazing story. I don't know. I guess for me, if I had a child there, I'd probably want to hole up in the room.
Yeah.
That's happened before, hadn't it?
Yeah, it has, and it's actually not uncommon. One of the things that I get to do in my role is I get to interview the families and learn about their journey through this and at the Ronald McDonald House. And not too long ago, actually, I was interviewing a mother and her young son, and they were from Jonesboro, Tennessee, not far, just far enough to where they can't be home to receive treatment. And so that causes an immense amount of homesickness. But on top of that, her child had just recently been diagnosed with a brain tumor. And she didn't know how to protect her son, and the only thing she could think to do was keep him as close to her as possible. And so every day they go to the hospital, they come back to their room. And one day she was telling me, I want to feel normal again. And her husband said, well, let's go to dinner. We'll have an hour where it's just us, and it'll feel like we're back at home having dinner at a restaurant. And they're like, okay. So she shared that they were trying to sneak out the back, and they were heading down the stairs, and they saw a mother and father and their young daughter walking down the hall, and stopped them and said, hey, we noticed that y'all moved in a couple weeks ago, and we just haven't been able to cross paths yet. We wanted to know if you would have dinner with us tonight. And we have volunteer groups that come and prepare and serve meals in our home for us, and we had a group that night. And the mother shared with me that she looked at her husband, and her husband was like, no help at all. And so she then looked at her son, and her son was already holding hands and making friends with the other parent's young daughter. And she said that she realized, and I still get chills thinking about it, she said that she realized in that moment that this was exactly where she needed to be. The support of these families and her child being with other children was exactly where they needed to be.
That strikes me about both of your houses, that one of the interesting things is that you're sharing the experience with others who are going through the same sort of thing.
Yeah.
And your friends from the world at large, as much as they may love you and pray for you and all the rest, couldn't possibly grasp what you're going through.
Yeah, but the FedEx House and Ronald McDonald House, the families that we serve, they all have one huge commonality. And under that roof are the families that really, only they can really understand what you're going through and know how to support you.
So, okay, let's talk about your funding. Ronald McDonald doesn't write you a check either, right?
No, it doesn't exactly work that way. McDonald's does not just go, here you go, and we would smile and move on. There is a partnership that we have both with McDonald's and with St. Jude, however. Right. The way that it works is McDonald's in our local area, if you go to a McDonald's, you'll notice canisters at the registers.
I see.
And now they have the touch screens where you can order without actually going to a register. Funds about 75 cents of every dollar of that goes to our house in our local area.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, that accounts for it. It varies from year to year, but only about 10% of our operating cost of our budget. And then we do have a partnership with St. Jude as well. They do reserve our rooms specifically for their families. So there is a bit of support that we do get from St. Jude as well.
Just as FedEx does get support from, FedExFamily House gets support from FedEx itself, right. But you also rely on organizations like
FedEx Pilots Wives. Yes, and so even with those 2 partnerships, there's still just about $3 million that we still have to raise for our house. And we do that through individual gifts, but a big part of that we count on with community groups like FedEx Pilots Wives Association, who are not only fundraising for us, but they're advocates in our community who are sharing our mission, who are coming and volunteering. The FedEx Pilots Wives, they come. You heard about them decorating for Christmas over at the FedEx House, and they really kick off the holiday season with Halloween. It's really fun to watch because the families leave with a normal house, and they get in like busy bees and completely turn it into a spooky, really cool place. And watching their faces light up as they walk back into the house, and they're seeing spider webs and pumpkins, and it's really, really cool to give that memory to a child. It's pretty magical for a child.
That is, and that's your wives, the FedEx Pilots Wives, that are doing the decorating, right?
Janet Wolford, who is our liaison for the Ronald McDonald House, has done a fabulous job this year. And so next year we plan on we're going to decorate a little bit later in the day, and we're all going to be dressed up in costumes so that we can actually let the kids trick or treat when they come back from the hospital that day.
And we don't have time to tell this whole story, but I know that your son Aiden was also generous, and I know that they appreciate that. What I do want to do in the last moment that we have is one more time talk about Rocking the Houses.
Yes.
Tell me again about how I get tickets. And
RockTheHousesMemphis.com. You can find where you can donate items, you can become a sponsor, you can buy tickets, you can buy your drink tickets for the night. We're going to have a bar that night that you'll have, you can buy tickets from, and again, that's going to be hopefully donated by a bunch of wonderful people in the community for wine and beer. Flat Hat, who is the owner, Mike Sadler, who is from Collierville, he has been willing to donate 2 kegs of his own beer, and he's also a FedEx pilot.
God
and
bless
so
him.
he's going to be there.
What's the website one more time?
RockTheHousesMemphis.com.
And it's .com.
.com.
RockTheHousesMemphis.com.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you both so much for being here.
you.
Thank you for the wonderful work you do and the wonderful work all of the FedEx pilots do as well.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you for being with us today for Inspiring Leaders. We appreciate our guests on today's show, Amber Abney, Sandra Lewis, and Malayna McGhee. We hope what you've heard on our program today has inspired you to learn more, to become more involved, and to join us on March the 7th at Rocking the Houses. You can get more information and buy your tickets at RockTheHousesMemphis.com. RockTheHousesMemphis.com. You can also find more information and volunteer for the FedEx Family House at FedExFamilyHouse.org. You can learn more about and volunteer for the Ronald McDonald House charities at rmhc-memphis.org. Most importantly, you can support both of these exceptional organizations with FEPWA by Rocking the Houses. Buy your tickets or bid online at their fabulous auction at rockthehouses.com. If you're interested in the air dates of Inspiring Leaders or of any other show on our television station, you can visit GHS-TV.org, where we're streaming live 24 hours a day. You can keep up with GHS-TV by visiting our website. We hope you'll like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Thank you again for joining us, and be sure to watch our show, Inspiring Leaders, again next month.